I just thought you were
I just turned it on.
Okay.
Sorry. I was trying to get through this meeting early. Mrs. Wallace Spear?
Brian, is the mic on at the podium?
All right, I'm going to try to get through, I live 22809 Violet, and I'm going to try to get through this really fast in 5 minutes. So I wrote everything down. I was at a meeting several months ago. I kind of backed down, but since talking very closely with a Lakeshore teacher and somebody that's in a very high up position in the Lakeshore School District, for now I'll hold back their names unless I have to say them, but I want to start with saying I was always happy with the district. My late husband attended all through high school. My current husband is a graduate, and 2 out of my 3 daughters also was. I want to start, this is going to be a little bit jumbled because I'm trying to fit this all in real fast. I always liked the district. I have a granddaughter who's now at Lakeshore, and I was told by well, I'm not going to give her name right now unless I have to, but about these surveys that were being given out to the students. So I pulled my granddaughter aside. My daughter's a little out of things because she's grieving, still a grieving mother. And I asked my granddaughter if she was ever in fact given a test. And she said, which one? And I said, anything to do with gender. And she said, well, which one? And I said, well, I don't know, how many of you had? And she said, I had my first one in 5th grade when I was at Rogers. And she said, I was kind of creeped out by it, but I didn't want to not take it because my teacher, and again, if I have to, I can give the name, my teacher told me that I would get an F if I didn't fill it out. And I asked her what were some of the questions on there. And she said, do you ever feel like you basically are not the right sex, like you'd like to be a boy, or they were asking many questions about her sexual activity, which in 1st grade, 5th grade is crazy and insane, and it's really none of the school district's business. And they should be consulting the parents ahead of time, because my daughter would have no way ever allowed her to take this, which she was also bullied into taking, because she did go up to the teacher and say she didn't feel comfortable taking it. Asked her if she ever had any feelings about being gay or whatever. So she said that was the first one she took in 5th grade. Now, I did call somebody who over the years has sort of become a friend and who's in the district, and she did say, yes, they do this in 5th grade. We feel it's important to know. The school district uses the excuse, they feel it's important to know what kids are having sex in 5th grade, which I mean, I don't know if many are or not, but I think it's pretty young. And I think parents should be aware of this ahead of time, not after the fact. Also, my granddaughter went great through Rogers. She has ADD, so she always had special help with her science and English classes. My husband had 36 years of doing special needs services, so he always made sure she got her IEPs. This just suddenly stopped at Lakeshore. I was told I'm on her card because her mother's just kind of in bad shape, so I'm on her card, and I was told at the end of the semester that she flunked. She had 13 missing assignments. Well, I was outraged and said, why would I find this out now that she had 13? Why would you wait until she has 13 missing assignments and she's got an F for the subject? And she's ADD and she's getting no help, and she's supposed to be taking these tests with I guess it would be a support person that helps them through the test. So this is just one of the excuses I got. So one test she was taking was very important, and after the 3rd question, she got up, left the classroom, and never returned. And I said, you gotta walk that back a minute to me, because first of all, why would this tiny, she's very tiny, it doesn't matter what size you are, but Why would she just be allowed to walk out of a classroom? What happened to hall passes and to the hall monitors that used to chase you down to make sure you went to the bathroom and got right back to class? And they said, well, we don't always do that anymore, and she never returned to class. And I said, well, how would you know what happened to her if she never returned to class? She could have been abducted or anything.
Excuse me,
It sounds dramatic.
you have 30 more seconds.
Well, I'm getting these out because I think people really need to know what's going on. So, that was the reason for one of them. So she took off, got up, left, and never came back to class. I was at homecoming game with my youngest daughter, who graduated not too long ago. Went through all school in the honor society, an honor student, and all of a sudden my daughter was crying at the homecoming game, and I said, "What is wrong, Katie?" And she goes, "What happened to this school?" So as I was sitting there watching the cheerleaders, which my granddaughter's on, there was a group of kids sitting in the left top of the bleachers chanting the most obscene.
You're going to have to wrap it up right now.
Well, I'm not done, so I'm
Well,
sorry. You know what? You work for the taxpayers.
Yes, but everybody gets 5
Right,
minutes.
and they will. I can wrap this up really quick. And as I sat there, I said to Katie, well, there's the teachers right there, and there's the principal, they're all here, but nobody seems to care the obscenity. They're screaming at the top of their lungs, trying to outdo the cheerleaders.
Okay, Mrs. Wallace, I'm going to have to ask you
And I'm
to,
going to tell you, I've got one more thing to say, and I'm sorry that I'm going to say it.
I'm sorry to,
These
but
girls
you,
are allowed to come to school dressed like hookers. I pick her up from school.
ma'am, we're done, Mrs.
I
Wallace.
don't want people to hear this. They come in broad.
We are done, Mrs. Wallace.
Well, there'll be a lot more parents here at the next meeting because they've been very unaware.
We will welcome them here and listen to
Well, I don't
them.
think you'll welcome and you don't listen, but you will be listening.
Okay, item number 5, superintendent's report.
Thank you. I just want to remind the board and our community that on May the 3rd, of course, the no tax rate increase bond proposal will be, it's election day. There are 3 ways that members of our community could currently vote. First, on a daily basis, between now and Saturday, they could vote from 8 to 4:30. They go to the clerk's office. If they're not registered, they can register right there at the clerk's office, and they could vote by absentee ballot that particular day. On Saturday, between 8 and 4, there's an extended voting opportunity, so members of our community that are not registered could go and register and vote on that particular day. And then, of course, on Election Day, May 3rd. And as we've kind of emphasized throughout the community, this is an important opportunity for Lakeshore Public Schools to carry on the great work that is done here. That's it.
Any questions for Dr. Napoleon? Okay, item 6A, Outstanding Teacher of the Year, Dr. Lewis.
We're proud to recognize the following teachers who have been selected by their colleagues for the 2021-22 Lakeshore Outstanding Teachers of the Year. From Masonic Heights Elementary, Angela Legato, 5th grade teacher. Rogers Elementary, Bernadette Wishmeyer, music. Lindsay Lacrosse, special education, MySci at Violet Elementary. Amy Usher, social studies teacher at Kennedy Middle School. And Catherine Ferguson, science teacher at Lakeshore High School.
Yes.
I saw someone at the awards banquet.
In person today, but I do know that they're watching at home.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you. We're very proud of you, and it's a special honor to be chosen from all your peers, so thank you very much for all you do. And they had a celebration on Tuesday, Tuesday? Last week, Outstanding Teacher of the Year banquet, which was very nice to hear. A lot of the students had things to say about their teachers, and all very positive. Item 7A, motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support?
Motion by Mrs. DeLong, supported by Mr. Denzler. Are there any questions or concerns? And we have a roll call.
Mrs. Munger, aye. Mr. Denzler.
Aye.
Mrs. Thomas August.
Aye.
Mrs. Bartle.
Aye.
Mrs. DeLong.
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
And Mr. Colling.
Aye.
Thank you. 7B, personnel report, Dr. Lewis.
Move to approve the following personnel report. Non-unit, move to accept the retirement of John Hartley, Athletic Director, District-wide, retirement effective June 28th, 2022, after 22 years of service. Move to accept the employment of Kara Gardner, Board Certified Behavior Analyst, District-wide position, effective April 11th, 2022, salary ASG 13, Step 1. AFSCME Local 1217, move to accept the retirement of Paul Skiba, Maintenance and Operations, effective April 18th, 2022, after 34 years of service. Lakeshore Federation of Support Staff, move to accept the retirement of Karen Moorhead, Title I Paraprofessional, Special Education Teacher's Aide at Rogers, effective May 27th, 2022, after 25 years of service. Carolyn Missy Semenko, Title I Paraprofessional, Rogers Elementary, retirement effective May 27th, 2022, after 30 years of service. Lakeshore Federation of Teachers, Local 1475, move to accept the termination of employee 96936463, effective April 15, 2022. Also ask that the board move to approve a revision of the 2021 substitute wage rate schedule for substitute bus drivers and substitute custodians, effective April 26, 2022. Also ask the board to approve the non-unit special programs compensation salary grid, effective April 25th, 2022.
So moved?
Support.
Motion by Mr. Denzler, supported by Mrs. Bartle. Are there any questions? Again, that's a lot of experience retiring. 101 years between 4 staff members. That's a lot of experience, and we wish them well, but they will be missed. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Munger, aye. Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mrs. Bartle.
Aye.
Mrs. DeLong.
Aye.
Mrs. Thomas August.
Aye.
Mr. Denzler.
Aye.
And Mr. Colling.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to 7C, 9-unit contract renewal. Dr. Lewis.
Move to approve the extension of certain administrative employee contracts as recommended by the Department of Employee Services.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Mrs. DeLong, supported by Mrs. Bartle. Are there any questions? May I have a roll call?
Mr. Denzler.
Aye.
Mr. Colling.
Aye.
Mrs. DeLong.
Aye.
Mrs. Thomas August.
Aye.
Mrs. Bartle.
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
And Mrs. Munger, aye.
Okay, moving on to 7D, 9-unit special program employees. Dr. Lewis.
Ask the board to move to formally approve the non-unit employment of certain adult education, North Lake, Early Childhood Center, and non-unit GSRP staff as recommended by the Department of Employee Services.
So moved?
Support.
Motion by Mr. Denzler, supported by Mrs. DeLong. Are there any questions?
George, could you just provide a little bit of context as to why so it looks like we're taking these out of the ACE realm and bringing them truly under Lakeshore. What's kind of the thought process in the background here?
Well, historically, the Early Childhood Center and Adult and Community Ed fell under the St. Clair Shores Adult and Community Education Program. And I believe the program is more than 30 years old, Dr. DePonio. That is a part, each of these programs are a part of Lakeshore Public Schools. Those employees are paid by Lakeshore Public Schools. Lakeshore onboards them. They are a part of our school district. So employment historically, contracts were issued by the St. Clair Shores Department of Adult and Community Education. Now these employees will be brought before the board. And the action tonight would officially recognize each of these employees as a member of Lakeshore Public Schools under the purview of the board.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Had to get one.
May I have a roll call?
Mr. Densler.
Aye.
Mrs. Bartle.
Aye.
Mrs. Munger. Aye. Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mrs. Thomas August.
Aye.
Mrs. DeLong.
Aye.
And Mr. Colling.
Moving on to 7E, resolution recognizing Employee Appreciation Week. This is the move to adopt a resolution recognizing Lakeshore Public Schools employees for their contributions and efforts to our schools.
So moved.
Support?
Motion by Mrs. DeLong, supported by Mr. Densler. Are there any questions? None? Well, really, all the employees that work for us, there should be a year-long recognition. You guys deserve it, and you make it easy for us. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. DeLong.
Aye.
Mrs. Thomas August.
Aye.
Mrs. Bartle.
Aye.
Mr. Densler.
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mrs. Munger. Aye. And Mr. Colling.
7F, out-of-state field trip by KMS 8th grade to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. Mrs. Wynkoop.
Thank you, Mr. Ziegler. Recommend that we move to conditionally approve an out-of-state field trip by KMS 8th grade to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. on October 10th through 14th, 2022. This is a continuation of a 3-year contract that we approved, and we are excited to have it back to the beginning of the school year where we'll have more significant impact on the instruction as they visit the historical sites, and then it's connected throughout the year to their instruction and their curriculum.
Nice. May I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion by Mrs. DeLong, supported by Mrs. Bartle. Are there any questions?
I want to think of one, because I don't think it's fair to give George a question at my last board meeting, and not Rochelle. So,
I would feel left out and really like I haven't done my job.
why do we work with Bright Spark?
As is required by board policy, we have to have more than one company give us a price quote. And Bright Spark came in a couple years ago. We've worked with them for several years in different things anyway, and they gave us kind of a package for committing for 3 years. And I will tell you, having more recently tried to, the challenges of field trips this year, it's actually easier when they just cancel them. The challenges of some field trips this year that we've had with other companies and organizations, Bright Spark had a lot of regulations, worked with us on how to do them, but the trip went off without a hitch and without significant additional problems. So we're happy to partner with Bright Spark, and like I said, this was something that the board approved for a 3-year contract with them. It's just updating the dates that will be actually going for next year and when they'll be traveling.
Great, that, for a silly question that I asked for no reason, that was a fantastic answer.
Glad I got that final statement. Thank you, Josh.
I just wanted to say that I think that's an excellent price for the 4 days that they're there. And the experience that they'll have is one to remember.
Similar to how the board recommended that we include all elementary for Mackinac, 8th grade used to be an honors society trip only, and we've worked with, that is really important learning experience for students to be at our capital and at Arlington, and so we're really excited that for the last 3 years, the focus has been for the whole student body to be able to attend.
I remember when I went to Washington DC for my 8th grade. I'm not going to say how many years ago it was, very recently. But yeah, I mean, I still, to this day, remember it. So I hope these kids have that kind of experience and really appreciate it.
My son was a reluctant social studies student, and this trip at the start of the year really changed and impacted his social studies experience that year. Yeah, it's an important trip.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it
the
was-
support you guys give for it.
Anybody else? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Munger, aye. Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mr. Densler.
Aye.
Mrs. Bartle.
Aye.
Mrs. Thomas August.
Aye.
Mr. Colling.
Aye.
And Mrs. DeLong.
Aye.
Moving on to 8A, board commentary. We will start with Mr. Densler.
All right. So as I know my colleagues on the board and the cabinet know, but for those that don't, this will be my last board meeting with Lakeshore Public Schools. Effective immediately after the adjournment of this meeting, I will be resigning this position. My wife and I have purchased a beautiful home on the west side, so I've committed the cardinal sin of being an east sider and moved to the west side, but crossing that 75 line, and unfortunately, state law does not allow me to keep doing this and live in Beverly Hills. So first of all, I just wanted to thank, especially my colleagues on the board, for just the amazing 5 years that I've had. I was really involved in the Michigan Association of School Boards, and this district is beyond blessed by every person that sits on this board. There are many boards that we have in the state where you've got 7 people with 7 different agendas, and a superintendent has 7 bosses and not one board, and it's a disaster. And you don't have that here. I've often talked about how, my personal political leanings are very far to the left. There are folks up here that have a myriad of personal political leanings, and you would never know it. You would never know the personal politics of any person on this board. The only reason I'm revealing mine is because it's my last meeting. And I can tell you that even the folks on this board who have very different opinions and worldviews and experiences than me, it all comes back to what is best for the student and what is best for the district. And that is not something that you are going to find in very many districts. I want to thank especially Dr. DePonio. I know from the time when I was a student, the culture between administration and board and staff was one that wasn't the greatest. And between Dr. DePonio and especially Dr. Lewis, but Mrs. Weinkoop and Pete and just all of the senior administrators, now having a collaborative, family-oriented culture where your administration and your board, your cabinet are working together with staff to figure out how to take care of one another, where you've got a superintendent that is basically saying, we don't care about the standardized tests. We want your students to have enriching learning experiences, and we want our teachers to be empowered to offer that. That's not something you find in very many districts. I want to thank all of our administrators, our non-faculty staff, for all the work that they do that often goes unsung, and especially, of course, our teachers. I think I was the first candidate in a long time, if not ever, to receive an endorsement from the LSFT. The teachers in this district helped raise me. I went to this district K-12, and I wouldn't be sitting here without the wonderful staff and educators that we have. They're so incredibly dedicated, and I'm just so grateful for the work that they did that made me the man that I am today, but that they continue to pour into others. I guess to wrap up, I would first, to my colleagues on the board, I believe that Mike Bakotic will be applying for this seat, as well as potentially Nick Yantz. Nick has actually spoken to us on his thoughts on the pandemic a couple times. Both have my strong recommendation for future consideration for any board appointment. So I would just offer that vouch for them while I'm still on the record. And I would just say that there are a lot of people out there that don't seem to understand education and that don't seem to appreciate education and seem to think that This is the first year in the 5 years that I've been on the board that someone came up and personally attacked us. Said we're in dereliction of duty, we're negligent. You work for the taxpayers. I do work for the taxpayers, and I'm duly elected by the people of this district, but I'm duly elected to do what's best for our students and our staff. And I hope that those folks out there that watch these board meetings and decide to post nasty comments on social media or send aggressive emails to the superintendent or the board, I hope that you're able to soften your heart and open your eyes to the good things that are going on here, because the perspectives that are often shared with the board from folks that are outside of these conversations, outside of this district, tend to assume the most negative possible intent and tend to not appreciate and see the work that our amazing staff does day in and day out, that they were doing for far too little pay, for too much effort prior to the pandemic, and then the pandemic just exacerbated that all to heck. So I just hope folks that are out there can take some time to approach our educators and the folks that lead and serve in public education with a sense of humility, with a sense of curiosity, with a sense of appreciation. Because without teachers, without education, there are no other professions. There's nothing. There is no society. Education is the bedrock of a society. It's the silver bullet that research shows can cure poverty, it can cure disease. You know, someone doesn't cure cancer without first going to school to learn about it. Someone doesn't first build a house without first being taught in Chris Mazzola's, class how to use a screw gun without putting it through your finger. Someone doesn't get to see Washington, D.C. without going with their 8th grade class sometimes. So with that, this has been long and rambly. I haven't been able to prepare remarks because every time I tried, I started crying. But I just want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. I'm may no longer be a board member, but I know I'm forever a Shorian. This has been one of the greatest honors of my life to sit at this table and to serve with you all and to serve the people of this district. And while I'm very excited for the next chapter of my life, I'm going to miss this work incredibly because it has been just the most incredible, fulfilling experience to watch our district grow and to see the amazing things that our staff and teachers do. So with that, I thank you all very greatly for a very wonderful 5 years. And I won't be going far, and I will still be around, and I'll still show up at random functions that I probably wasn't invited to, but I saw on Facebook. But I thank you all so much. I love you all so much, and go Shorians forever.
Thank you, Josh, and you know what? And you got it right, your wife.
Yeah, I did. I didn't call her my fiance. She's in the room, so be
I know, I had to say that. Mrs. Amy Thomas August.
I don't have a lot to say. I just want to thank all the staff of Lakeshore for just everything that they do, and I want to recognize them for the Employee Recognition Week, but a little bit extra for the teachers since it is Teacher Appreciation Week that week. So May 2nd, if you could just give a thank you to a teacher, have a kindergartner pick a dandelion to give it to their kindergarten teacher, just anything to recognize the hard work that the teachers do. And congratulations to those retirees. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Colling.
Yep, just a quick update from the foundation. So, as you know, I shared the information about the A-Drop fundraiser that was a few weeks ago in Easter. The foundation was able to raise $3,200 from that event. So another very successful year. Great job by Jack and team setting that up and getting community members involved. All the feedback was incredibly positive, and everyone loves that. So I'm sure it'll be back again for another year. As for the golf outing, make sure again you save the dates. June 20th at Oak Ridge Golf Club. Tickets are on sale now. This year you can pay online, and Jack's going to be sending out emails and post on Facebook and Twitter and all that great stuff. So be on the lookout for that. And do sign up quickly because they will sell out of spots to golf. And Josh, I know that you'll probably be out there golfing, right?
Very terribly, but
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you there. The other thing I wanted to share is that there are golf ball drop tickets for this year as well. Again, that's a raffle. Top 3 winners get prizes. That's like a closest to the pin sort of thing. It's $10 a ticket, only 300 will be sold, so good odds on that. You can see me, see Jack. We have plenty of these to sell, so just let us know. And then, because I always have to copy off of Josh, and I feel really bad sharing this now because there's no way I could ever share sentiments that are even as close as to how Josh shared them. I want to reiterate everything he said, but I have personal bittersweet news of my own. My fiance and I, that is correct.
Yeah.
We'll be moving to Berkeley relatively soon. We close on our house in the near future, so that means that I will also be stepping down. This will not be my last meeting, God willing. I should be at least in for one more. I want to stick around till the end of the school year, but things are moving more quickly than we anticipated, and I don't have a firm date yet on when that will have to take place. So, yeah, I think suffice to say, ditto to everything Josh said, and hopefully I'll have a chance to prepare some remarks of my own for the next meeting. But thank you all, and have a good night.
Thank you, Dan. Mrs. Munger.
Oh, it was on, okay. I just have a few things. I volunteered to help lay eggs. We were egg layers. I told my husband he had to come along, and so we actually had a really good time. When I asked him at the end of the night if we could do it again next year, he said absolutely. It's wonderful to see houses that have 100 eggs and houses that have 12 eggs. He wanted to go to the store and buy some more eggs to put on the lawn of the 12 eggs, but any support, and I'm sure the kids had a wonderful time collecting the eggs off of their lawns on Easter morning. And the thing I like to highlight always is the Slurpee Awards that came out. Those traits that aren't just that the kids learn in school that aren't just math, English, and science. They're traits that will help them throughout their entire life. Traits like perseverance, teamwork, kindness, humor, enthusiasm, curiosity and kindness and leadership. And thank you to Store 27162 that helped with the Slurpee Awards this time around, I guess. And thank you too to Mrs. Thomas August who brought in a few extra Slurpees, one for me and one for Joe, and Josh got one too. Thank you very much for doing that. That was very nice of you. So I love to always highlight that, just to see the things that kids learn that will help them be better people in the future. So other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Bartle.
There we go, sorry. Just a few things. First of all, I want to congratulate and thank you both for serving. We were, I think, the first time that MASB had school board members as young as our two. There are some younger ones now. You guys are no longer the youngest. You sure did. You set the trend and you set a high bar, including presentation at an MASB conference encouraging younger board members to step up. So thank you both. You have definitely served us well. I didn't know I was an egg layer, but I'll go with that. I just wanted to say it was such a, I'm going to say easy from my perspective, super organized, super easy. At the end of the night, I think I commented to you, Jack, about who stuffed those eggs. That was quite the task. We had the easy, there was a lot of them, 5,000, 6,000, so somebody was very, very busy. But from our perspective, the day of that was amazingly organized. Nice, fun, easy event, just something kind of brightened our own spirits, I think, so nice event. And then I saw that the elementary schools were hits, which was super cool. So if it wasn't personally at somebody's household, it might have been at their school building. So that was pretty cool addition to the original plan that I was aware of. I am a very big advocate of field trips. And not only the Mackinac trip, that was kind of my pet peeve project nag for quite some time, but really all school field trips. I just think that there's a lot of students that won't get those opportunities without schools making them available to them. And when it comes to the overnight trips, even more so, because there was a time when I thought it's an expensive trip. And a community member said to me, it is a little bit pricey for a family to send a student to whatever, Washington DC, Mackinac, some of the choir trips, whatever. But they said the flip side of that is it's much more affordable than a family trying to provide that trip. So I will always be a big advocate of all the field trips, and I appreciate that the teachers and staff that make them happen, because that's not a regular school day either. It's a big commitment of their time, much more than a regular school day. So I appreciate what they contribute to make those things happen for our students. And just one comment to piggyback on Josh's comments about sitting at this table and the nature or tone of certain comments that have been made over the years. And I just want to say, yes, we have those moments that are a little bit harder to listen as attentively as I listen every time someone speaks. I try to hear the message, sometimes through the delivery. But I will also say, those are a few moments, and the amazing positive moments that I've had in this seat far outweigh any of the negativity that I've heard. And so I hear that too. I want to deal with it. We'll do what we can. I will certainly do what I can. But I just wanted to comment that this is a fabulous place with amazing positive stories that just come at us again and again and again over the years. So I'll leave you with that.
Thank you. Mrs. DeLong.
Good evening. I would first like to congratulate the outstanding teachers, well-deserved, to the retirees. Good luck on this next chapter, especially John Hartley. He has been a very big supporter of our bowling program, and I will miss him. So I wish him all the best, and I hope maybe now he'll come to some bowling meets, so he'll have some time, because he won't be full-time athletic director. So I wish him all the best. To Josh, I've known you longer than just the 5 years you've been on the board. So yes, I really value what you brought to the board, your comments. You've always asked, you're always good at asking the questions to make, we have privy to some of this stuff, but to bring it all out to everybody, the background in some of the stuff that's here. So I wish you and your wife the best of luck. I do hope you will come back and visit us. It's going to be difficult to fill your spot, but we will. Daniel, I'm going to reserve mine till your final board meeting, but you will also be missed. And yes, you guys were trendsetters with the MASB, I remember being at a board meeting or the MSA meeting where you both stood up and you were the youngest members there. So thank you for that. Amy, you mentioned that next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, so you, as being a teacher, thank you. And thank you, of course, to all the Lakeshore teachers. And one final personal note, some of you may or may not know Wendy Tobias, who is the president of the Lakeshore Boosters, but I am very proud to say that last Monday, she took her, I don't know if it's oath or whatever, but she has become a U.S. citizen. She was born over in England, and she's had that citizen, she's been here on a green card, and she is now an American citizen. So very proud of her for that, and so was her family and her sons, and they joke that now they can't deport her. So we're stuck with her now. So that's it. I hope everybody had a good spring break, and I'll see you all next month.
Thank you. To piggyback on that, thank you to all the staff and all the teachers. We won't be here next week, so thank you for all you do. And for the teachers that won Teacher of the Year from your peers, congratulations. And for Josh, you started out as a student rep here. You were here for a couple of years. You contributed quite a bit. You joined us after you graduated from U of M, and your dedication and commitment was, and contributions to Lake Shore has been an asset, and I'm going to miss your input. Your wit and your style, too. We have something going here, and as you said, we have many different personalities here that mesh very well together. It'd be hard to replace you. Congratulations on all your accomplishments so far, and I know another school district will be proud to have you serve.
Oh, don't put that on.
So I will not say goodbye to you, because I'm sure I will see you as a board member in another district, and we will meet again at a dinner or a conference. So thank you for all your service. I will miss you. I will miss your wit. And as Sue mentioned, you always come up with some very good questions that keep us all on board. So thank you again. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
And yes, Josh, you will always be a short answer.
Yes.